Good evening and welcome to the Council Budget Meeting for Monday, September 16, 2024. Please rise for the playing of the National Anthem and a moment of reflection. I will look to Councilor Ratliff to read the land acknowledgement. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. The land on which Council meets today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many Indigenous peoples made up of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement should remind us of our responsibility to ensure the Dish, the territories on which we live and work, is never emptied, and that we take care of the land and its inhabitants in a way that ensures its future sustainability.
Thank you, Councilor Ratliff. Chair's report. I think you all know that I don't believe in lengthy chair's reports. Today I would have spoken about the budget approval process because this is the second year that we have done it under the new strong mayor's power, but legal and clerks have a full report later to explain that so everybody in council as well as the public can understand that. So with that, we will move to the adoption of the agenda. I'll look to the Deputy Clerk.
So for adoption of the agenda, Chair, that says Chair, my apologies. Vice Chair Dodge has requested to pull item 6.1, Capital Project Report for second quarter ended June 30, 2024, from consent to discussion, and would like this item to be the first item on discussion. Normally, moving items from consent to discussion would take place during the motion to move consent reports, but as the order of the agenda is being changed, it is being mentioned now as part of the adoption of the agenda. The following items of additional correspondence have been placed in Council's Sugar Sync folder. Regarding item 6.1, confidential memorandum from the Director of Financial Management Services / City Treasurer and the Capital Planning Supervisor regarding budget transfers to expedite key initiatives. Regarding item 8.2, a confidential memorandum from the Director of Financial Management Services / City Treasurer and the Manager of Financial Planning regarding budget transfer skills development fund capital stream. And the following item of additional correspondence was circulated to council via email in advance of the meeting regarding item 8.1, confidential memorandum from the Director of Financial Management Services / City Treasurer, the Director of Corporate Support Services, and the Director of Fire Services regarding second quarter savings from staff vacancies and update regarding labor relations negotiations in Catharines Professional Firefighters Association Local 485. And just as an announcement for those in the room, Councilors Williamson and Lindell are also present, participating via Zoom.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Councilor Phillips, the seconder. Councilor Ratliff. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes, there are none. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, but if yes, as a reminder that councilors are required to submit written statements of declarations via the online form. So we would have a motion to move consent reports, but Vice Chair Dodge has requested to pull item 6.1, and that would be the first item for discussion, as the Deputy Clerk mentioned. So therefore, there are no reports remaining on consent, and therefore there is no vote to approve the consent agenda. So number 6 is consent reports. There are now none. Number 7 is presentations. There are none. So we will move into discussion reports, and the first one is the one that Councilor Dodge pulled, which is Financial Management Services Director Capital Project Report for the second quarter ended June 30th, 2024. Can I have a motion for the mover for the recommendation on the report? Councilor Dodge, you will move it. And can I have a seconder? Councilor Phillips? Okay, so the recommendation for the report should be on the screen. So we will now take questions from the floor. Okay, so, sorry? Okay. Mayor Cisco?
Thank you, Chair. Just a question to staff. With respect to the development charge exemption funding strategy scenario 2, this would be referred for inclusion in the update, the draft updates that'll be presented next month. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily being approved, correct?
Look to the Director of Finance.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to the Mayor, that's correct.
So that wouldn't require reconsideration or anything like that to go with strategy or scenario 3 or scenario 1 if council made that decision later on.
Through you, Mr. Chair. The Deputy Clerk is the expert, but it's my understanding budget amendments do not qualify for reconsiderations.
That's correct. I knew the answer to the question before I asked it. I just wanted you to say it out loud. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayers. Thank you, Director. Okay, so make sure everyone understands that we are transferring up to $405,000 to initiate that human capital management system, and also there is an updated development charge exemption funding strategy, and the report had outlined 3 different alternatives, and they recommended one of them. So if there are no questions, we will look to the Deputy Clerk for a recorded vote.
Just waiting for voting mode to enter here. All right. Councilor Dodge.
Yes.
Councilor Phillips.
Yes.
Councilor Lindell.
Yes.
Councilor McPherson.
Yes.
Councilor Ratzlaff.
Yes.
Councilor Stevens.
Yes.
Councilor Williamson.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
In favor.
And Chair Garcia.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Okay. Thank you. So We will move to 8.1, Financial Management Services Director, 2024 second quarter operating financial update. And first of all, I will call upon Colleen Smith, CEO of the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre, to provide a presentation regarding the PAC's 2024 second quarter operating financial update. Can I get a councillor to move? Oh, sorry, that's after the presentation, so not yet. So come on in, Ms. Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for allowing us the opportunity to come and to present very briefly to you today. We don't have anything extraordinary to ask for. We are on budget this year and next year, but this is a really great opportunity for us to speak to you about what we do. And now, if you remember, we've only been in ABC since 2020. And so the first few years of the pandemic were really extraordinary, and now we're entering into normal. So we just want to share a little bit about that from a financial perspective as well as from a statistical perspective with you, and just talk a little bit about the future. So the first thing is just to tell you how we did last year. So we finished our 2023 year from an operating perspective with around a little over a $90,000 surplus. And then for our audited statements, we're looking at a little around almost $4,000, and that's after encumbrances and transfers to and from reserves. So all in all, it was a really great year. We had no shutdowns, we had no restrictions. It was business as usual, and it was beautiful. A few other statistics just to show you what the impact is of the work we do and the investment that you make. We have a lot of events. We have almost 1,000 events on an annual basis, and we're starting to do some analysis in terms of our statistics and impact, financial impact. So in particular, because of the 1,000 events that we had at the PAC last year, there was over $17 million residual impact of visitor spending. And that's pretty incredible for our downtown, so we're really proud of that number. And of course, our GDP contribution was over $13 million based on the work that we do. A few other stats. So the first thing that we do as a part of our mandate is we enhance. So that's really prevalent in that stat I have, around $17 million in spending. The other thing that we do is we support local groups. So we have a really robust rental program. We have a lot of free community events. We make sure that we're affordable for people who can't afford high ticket prices, and we have a variety of pricings available. And the other thing that's important for us is that we contribute every year to the SKIP program. So over $60,000 annually comes from us vis-a-vis our ticket sales and goes into the SKIP program to be redistributed to arts organizations. And so for us, the more tickets we sell, the more money SKIP makes, and the happier we all are. Another part of our mandate is we present. So we do bring in artists from across the country and across the world, and we also support local artists and putting them on our stage. So last year in 2023, within our budget, we invested over $720,000 in artists, and that's in addition to the $61,000 that we contributed back to the city for the SKIP program. So now some of the results from 2024 Q2. This is the first time we're reporting on our results in this way because of the new presentation. So we're looking at our 2024 budget, and despite what was in the comments of the report that you received, we're actually doing better to budget than it might read. So we're looking at approximately a $40,000 surplus to the end of the year. Everything really hinges on these last 4 months at the PAC. We are so busy. We start our season off tomorrow with 2 shows of Feist. We have Rick Mercer the week following, and then we are just jam-packed through to the end of the year. So there's a lot riding on these 4 months, but currently we're looking like we will finish well. We'll be above zero. Right now we're looking at approximately $40,000 as of Q2, and we're roughly the same currently. Looking forward, I just wanted to again give a little bit of context or perspective in how we're doing right now. So in the year 2024, we're anticipating we will finally be back to 2018 numbers. So that's the total number of patrons that we have. And our plans for the future are that we continue to grow those patrons. But again, we're just really happy that we're back in business again, and we're looking at how we were looking in 2018. And when I said the $17.5 million in visitor spending, when we look at the projections of numbers and shows that we have from now through until 2025, as we grow, so does the impact that we have directly on the downtown economy. So 17.5 million this year, last year. This year we're looking at $20.2 million in visitor spend, and the following year in 2025 we're looking at $21.5 million in residual visitor spend. So what I wanted to talk about, just to end things, is how are we looking towards the future? And if there's anything over the next couple of years that would cause us to possibly change course or not, there's just a few things on the horizon that are big for us, and we just wanted to mention them today, and that's all. So you might know that when the PAC opened, the city of St. Catharines entered into an agreement with Brock University so that we become the home for the music program at Brock. So all the Marilyn I. Walker students who are music students have classes in the recital hall. The recital hall was a very bespoke space that was built for them for that purpose. We also have students who come to classes in the film house. And so they're there on a regular basis from September all the way through until the end of April. And so we're at 10 years for this agreement, or the city is at 10 years for this agreement right now. And we're just, again, starting to have conversations with Brock University around what does the future of our agreement look like and how do we better provide opportunities so that it's a win-win situation for both Brock, the city, win-win-win. Brock, the city, and the PAC. Some other important items that are coming up. When we became under reporting to the board, we were an entity that didn't have charitable status or nonprofit incorporation. We are a municipal service board, and the city gratefully has been our qualified donee for anyone who's giving donations. So we have an application into the CRA right now where we would get charitable status. So that means we are eligible for a number of different funding opportunities that we're not eligible for right now, foundations, other private giving, et cetera. And it'll be the 6-month mark that the application is with the CRA next month. So we hope to start hearing back from them. And ideally, we have our charitable status number by January of next year. And that opens up opportunity for us as well. But that's a big thing for us on the horizon. And the final two things, we are operating right now under what we call a strategic recovery plan, and that was really all about getting a firm grounding in who we are and how we operate, and that was a 3-year plan. It's coming to the end in December of this year, and then we're going to be looking at a new 5-year plan that has very specific goals and objectives from now until 2030. So that will be finalized in the next few months and released to the public in early 2025. And the last thing is that next year we celebrate a 10th anniversary. And so we're not looking at doing anything major that is a large expenditure, but we're just looking at making sure everything we do is special and that we do celebrate within that season a lot of what is local and really thank the people who helped us to get to where we are. So that's just a little quick snapshot on the PAC right now.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Are there any questions of the CEO of the PAC? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Ms. Smith. Thank you for the presentation. There was one thing I wanted to key on. You had mentioned with respect to the recital space that this is, sort of integral to Brock's opportunities within the facility. I remember, because I was here when we actually went through the process, but if taking those members of council who may not have been a part of the process at the time, I mean, that recital space was largely built for the partnership with Brock University. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's absolutely correct.
Okay, and when you say bespoke space, could you maybe explain that for those folks at home who don't know what you mean?
Sure, a bespoke space just means it's custom built or purpose built. So it was purpose built as, Partridge Hall is a large music space. It can be amplified, it can be without amplification. Typically we do amplify there. A recital hall space, and I can say this as I'm a music graduate, a recital hall space is very specific for students who are studying music. The space itself is like an instrument. And so you learn how to play, and you learn as a studying musician, how to work within a room and its abilities. And so, yeah, it's a very customized acoustic recital space meant for classically trained musicians and choirs.
Okay, and I appreciate that because I think there are folks that maybe would not be necessarily aware of that. I just want to say congratulations. I think the partnership that we've had with Brock University has been a very positive one, and I think the fact that we made the choice to build that space, 15 years ago when we did actually approve building the first Ontario Performing Arts Center, I think it has borne a lot of really positive fruit for both the city and for Brock University over those years. So I appreciate the work you've done to continue furthering that relationship, and I look forward to a very positive continued relationship going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to CEO Smith. I'll echo the mayor's comments as one of the people that was around at the time. This has been an amazing facility and really improved the livability and certainly the culture and arts elements of our city. To me, this is a really good news story, considering that you face more competition, particularly with the OLG casino facility in Niagara Falls, and I'm pleased that we're holding our own. And of course, there's other competition as well in this market with more festivals, etc. I just wonder if you care to speak about those other challenges that you didn't list in the report. Thank you.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, just a question of clarification. The challenges within the report that was submitted, or the challenges just in general in terms of the business?
I'll say in general.
Yeah.
Keep it as open-ended as possible.
Sure. Thank you so much. So you're right. OLG stage is a huge. It's becoming more and more competitive for us. You see artists there from Cat Powers was there, I think, this weekend. Trombone Shorties, a really big jazz artist from the US, is coming in November, and lots of other different kinds of artists. Like the art and business of presenting work is really a mathematical equation. How much does the artist cost? What is their fee? How many seats do you have? What is the maximum cost per seat that you feel your audience will pay? And so sometimes we end up with artists that are right for that equation. Other times they might get more money from OLG stage, and that's when it becomes a problem. But we do have relationships with touring artists and touring managers so that we have, the regulars that come back. For example, Larry Gowan comes almost every year or every second year. He's very loyal to us. He has a loyal fan base. His concert isn't until next spring, I think, and it's almost sold out. So we try and figure out what is the magic formula for getting artists that you know, that you want, and maybe that you haven't seen in a while, or maybe haven't performed here before. But we look at the pricing or the cost per artist to ensure that it's a good offering for us here in downtown St. Catharines. I will say, though, as a part of our strategic plan, we're looking at broadening our reach so that we have more people from the region attending events. And that means, a different style of marketing that goes beyond what we've done before. And that's helping to counter some of the competitive partners that are out there. So it is a risky business, but we do have loyal patrons and members, and hopefully we'll continue to find that right mix.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, CEO Smith, and I'll go to Councillor Ratliff.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the presenter. I just wanted to say that I have my tickets for Feist tomorrow night. And I know that there was a tour that was possibly happening for councillors, so I apologize I won't be able to make it because it's my partner's birthday, and so we're going to see Feist for that occasion. And I love the facility. I love the opportunity to be able to see performers like Feist there, and I hope lots of people in St. Catharines continue to take advantage of it.
Thank you. I'll just say that you all made a great decision in doing this and supporting not only the PAC, but the Meridian Center and the Marilyn I. Walker. It truly is a creative cluster, and we hope that it will continue to resonate with people long into the future. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor Ratliff. I will go to Councillor Phillips. If I can get it there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, I was one of the councillors around at the time when we were initially discussing whether we were going to do this or not, and there was a lot of people who were very concerned, and we definitely made the right choice. And I think since the Performing Arts Center has opened, I've never spoken to someone who said we made a mistake. So congratulations on that. Down the road, though, what do you see as far as improvements, repairs, things like that? It's been there for 10 years. Things are going to start wearing out. We're going to have to start replacing, hopefully not too expensive components. But down the road, what do you see as capital expenditures?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, we are looking twofold at what needs to happen in the building. The first one is from a very highly technical production perspective. So we, again, like bespoke equipment, we have really specific equipment that we need to run performing arts centers, right? So the sound boards, the lighting boards, the equipment themselves, all of those, our team takes great care in making sure that those have a maintenance program that prolongs their life as much as possible, but they will need to be replaced. The big ones that will be coming up are our soundboards, and it's just a natural, after 10 years, they will need to be replaced. And in order to get in queue for the right kinds of equipments to replace them, you have to get your order in early. The good news is that now with technology, it's a lot more flexible, so these things can move between spaces, as before they were very large, sort of in-place pieces of equipment. So that's working in our favor a little bit. So the first thing that will need to be replaced, really, is the technical equipment. The second thing that I will say is we are investing a lot in preventative maintenance on an annual basis. We haven't really reported it as such, but we are tracking it much more carefully now. So little things that we do on an annual operating cost basis will help to prolong the life of some of the equipment that we have that will just push out a little bit further when those items need to be replaced. Seats are in fairly good condition. The more use they have, the more wear and tear. The film house in particular is the one where the seats will be needed to be replaced the first, but it's not, I would say, not for another 10 years or so. Otherwise, it's a great building, right? There's a lot of integrity in how that building was built. The acoustics are phenomenal. I know we're working with the facilities team here at the city in terms of some door replacements that we had on the list for a while. So it really is holding up well. It will need to have, replacement like any other building. But I'm really happy with the condition that it's in currently. And again, production, first on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Phillips. Thank you, CEO Smith. Any other questions? Seeing none, if I may make a couple of comments. First of all, I wanted to thank CEO Smith for being proactive and coming to present to us, and I would encourage all the other boards and commissions out there to do this. It's so great for us to get a feel for what's happening as opposed to just seeing a report. Secondly, following up on what Councilors Williamson and Phillips just said, it never ceases to amaze me how we see a performance and the performers comment on what a beautiful facility it is. It's so great to hear. Two more comments. I think you all know, but tomorrow the PAC has invited us at council to get a quick tour of the park, and I'm sure that she would still take you if you haven't signed up, if you get an opportunity, for those of us who are online and the ones that are here. And last but not least, CEO Smith, would you take the opportunity to share with council and the public about the upcoming exciting fundraiser in October?
Oh, of course. Yes. So as I said, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think it's really important for us to have a diversified revenue stream, and one of the areas that we're really working on is fundraising, and it started slow. But we're building it every year with the help of the people around us. And on the 26th of October, we are hosting our 3rd annual East Coast Kitchen Party fundraiser featuring the beautiful province of Prince Edward Island, which I can vouch for. It's legit because that's where I'm from. And so everything with this fundraiser has to have the Colleen seal of approval. So it's going to be a great night, lots of lobster, some great music coming directly from PEI, and it'll be a really fun time. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to buy a couple of tickets or a table to our fundraiser on October 26th.
Thank you, CEO Smith. And, Councillor Dodge.
Just, could you tell everyone what the cost would be to do that?
Tickets are $199 a person for the big party, which is for the evening, and you get a $50 tax receipt with that fee. You're welcome.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, can I have a councillor move the motion to receive Ms. Smith's recommendation? Councillor Dodge, a seconder, Mayor Cisco. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay. And can I have a mover for the actual recommendation in the report? Mayor Cisco. And can I have a seconder? Councillor Phillips. Okay. So, all in favor? Okay, carried. Now, if council wishes to move to closed session to discuss the confidential memo that was sent, we would do that now. Councilor Dodge, you would like us to go to closed session? Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. The Deputy Clerk has reminded me, does anybody have any questions about the report before we go in there? We can't, except for what we're going to discuss in closed session. Seeing none? Okay. So Councilor Dodge would like us to go into closed session, so I will look to the Deputy Clerk to read the reason for going into closed session.
So it's a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Municipal Act 2001, Section 239(2)D, labor relations or employee negotiations regarding second quarter savings from staff vacancies and update regarding labor relations negotiations in Catharines Professional Firefighters Association's Local 485, which is the confidential memorandum which was circulated to council via email in advance of the meeting.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Can I have a councillor move the motion to go into closed session? Councillor Dodge and a seconder, Councillor Phillips. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we move into closed session. Okay. So can I have a mover for the recommend? I see, the mayor is already moving our recommendation and seconded by Councilor Phillips. So the motion, again, to ensure everybody knows, is that the report regarding 2024 second quarter operating financial update be received for information, and that council receive the verbal update from staff provided in closed session regarding second quarter savings from staff vacancies, and an update regarding labor relations negotiations, St. Catharines Professional Firefighters Association Local 485. I will look to the clerk for a recorded vote.
Mayor Sisko,
Aye.
Councillor Phillips,
Yes?
Councillor Ratzlaff,
Yes.
Councillor Stevens,
Yes.
Councillor Williamson,
Yes.
Councillor Dodge,
Yes.
Councillor Lindell,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Miller,
Aye.
and Chair Garcia.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Okay. So we will move to 8.2, Financial Management Services 2024 Grant Funding Update. Can I have a mover for the recommendation in the report? Councilor Phillips. And can I have a seconder? Councilor McPherson. Okay, the recommendation is on the screen. And are there any questions on the motion or the report on grant funding? Seeing none. Do we need a recorder? Yeah, okay. I will look to the clerk for a recorded vote on that one.
Councillor Phillips,
Yes?
Councillor Miller,
Yes.
Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Lindell,
Yes.
Councillor Dodge,
Yes.
Councillor Williamson,
Yes.
Councillor Stevens,
Yes.
Councillor Ratzlaff,
Yes.
Mayor Sisko,
Indubitably.
and Chair Garcia.
Yes.
And that's carried.
So we will move to 8.3, and that's Legal and Clerk Services, Office of the City Clerk, timeline and process for 2025 and 2026 readoption budgets. Remember, these are readoptions because we did the first three-year budget for 24, 25, and 26. So 24 is passed, and now we are readopting 25 and 26.
Okay, good evening, Mayor Sisko, Chair Garcia, and members of council. Tonight, myself and Christine Douglas, the city treasurer, will provide an update of what to expect in the coming weeks and months as part of the readoption for the city's 2025 and 2026 budgets. So first, just an overview. In February 2nd of 2024, council adopted its 2024 to 2026 multi-year budgets. When we say the word budgets, we are referring to the operating budget, capital budget, and the water and wastewater budgets. The Municipal Act requires that every year a multi-year budget be readopted, so that is the process that we are beginning now. And the strong mayor powers, which were introduced last year, do apply to the readoption process. In terms of the strong mayor powers, as a reminder, the legislation states that the mayor shall prepare and present a budget to council before February 1st. And the mayor must provide the budget to each member of council and the clerk must make the proposed budget available to the public. And councilors then have 30 days to amend the budget. In practice, what that will mean for the readoption process is that on October 28th, the mayor's readoption budgets will be published. So on October 28th, the mayor's operating capital and water wastewater readoption budgets will be published. Publishing the agenda on October 28th will begin the 30-day window for budget amendments, and this timeline also makes the budgets available to the public. At the council budget meeting of November 6th, the mayor will give an overview of his readoption budgets, and on November 20th, council will consider budget amendments. In terms of the multi-year budgets, legislation requires that the second and each subsequent year to which a multi-year budget applies, the municipality shall review the budget for that year, make changes as required, and readopt the budget. In practice, this means that on October 23rd, staff will present potential budget changes. It is at that point a decision of the mayor whether the budget changes presented are then included in his readoption budget. As noted previously, council will consider budget amendments on November 20th. If the mayor does not include a potential budget change in his readoption budget, a councilor can still bring forward one of those or any of those budget changes as part of the amendment process. Once the amendment, veto, and override process is complete, the budgets are deemed readopted. So in terms of the timeline for this year, on October 28th, the mayor will publish his budgets. Then that will begin the council amendment period, which can last up to a maximum of 30 days. So that will go from October 28th until November 26th. Council can also, during this period, vote to shorten its amendment period. Then there is the 10-day mayoral veto period, which will go from November 27th until December 6th. And in this period, the mayor can also shorten his veto period in writing. After that is the council override period, which can last for up to 15 days, which will be December 7th to 21st. So that's why at the bottom we have the disclaimer that says, while we don't know the exact date when the multi-year budgets will be readopted, we know that it will take place prior to the start of 2025. In terms of the budget changes, in the 2025 to 2026 budgets, staff have included reasonable contingency funds to accommodate unforeseen circumstances. These placeholders provide flexibility and are aligned with the city's budget planning and control policy, which grants staff the delegated authority to approve expenditures up to $500,000. Contingency funds included in the multi-year budgets were clearly marked in the significant changes document in the 2025 and 2026 budgets. This approach ensures that council has the ability to make necessary budget adjustments according to the city's multi-year budget planning and control policy. So by the latest of October 28th, staff will publish reports outlining the budget changes. These budget changes will then be discussed at the council budget meeting of October 23rd. There will be one report for each budget. So the operating, capital, and water wastewater budgets will each have a report, which will focus on 6 potential changes. There are 6 categories, one being legislated required changes, unforeseen changes, administrative changes within the budget planning and control policy, capital project changes, which will affect the operating budget, council directed changes, or requests from the city's agencies, boards, and commissions. As noted previously, the mayor will then decide which changes are then included as part of his readoption budget, and any changes not included by the mayor can be brought forward by a councilor as an amendment. In terms of the amendment period, it will go from October 28th until November 26th. The council meeting of November 20th is when council will consider amendments to the budget. If no amendments are submitted by councilors, the meeting will be canceled because the meeting is only being held to consider budget amendments. An important date for councilors to remember, and we will be sending out reminders for your Outlook calendar, is that amendments must be submitted by November 13th at 4 p.m. This is because staff need time to calculate the financial implications of budget amendments, and we have to ensure that the agenda is published by November 15th to ensure that enough notice is given to the public. At the meeting of November 20th, each amendment will be considered and voted on individually. If no amendments are approved or no amendments are submitted, then the budgets will be deemed readopted on November 26, 2024. If amendments are submitted and approved, then the mayor has 10 days in which to veto the amendments, this period being November 27th to December 6th. If the mayor chooses to veto an amendment, he will provide notice in writing, and it will be circulated to the members of council. It will also be posted online at stcatharines.ca/council to inform the public of the mayor's veto. If the mayor does not exercise the veto power, then the amended budgets will be deemed readopted on December 6, 2024. And finally, the overriding a veto provision. This is if there are amendments and the mayor vetoes any amendments. This period lasts 15 days from December 7th to December 21st. Overrides will be considered at a special council meeting of December 16th. If a councilor wished to override a veto, notice must be given to staff by December 12th at noon in order to meet the publishing timeline. In terms of the budget readoption process, to override a veto, it requires a vote of 2/3 of council to override a veto. And it's important to note that is 2/3 of the members of council, not 2/3 of the members present at the meeting. So if council does not approve an override, the budget is deemed readopted without the amendment on December 21st, 2024. And I will just quickly highlight some public engagement activities that will be happening in the coming weeks. There will be a telephone town hall on Wednesday, October the 9th, an open house at the St. Catharines Kiwanis Aquatic Center on Wednesday, October 16th. The public can make delegations regarding the budget, like general comments regarding the budget on Wednesday, November 6th. On November 20th, when councilors present their amendments, delegations can also be made to any amendment brought forward by a councilor. Any questions or comments regarding the budget can be sent to budget@stcatharines.ca, and the readoption budgets are available online to be viewed at stcatharines.ca/budget. And I will now turn it over to Christine Douglas to provide an overview of the 2025 and 2026 readoption budgets.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Director Douglas?
Sorry. Thank you, Evan. Through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, and Budget and Committee members. So Evan indicated that earlier in 2024, the city approved its first multi-year budget for 24 to 2026. And the 2025 and 2026 capital, operating, water and wastewater budgets were adopted in principle. We are now required under the legislation for us to reconfirm these budgets. So before revisiting these budgets, I'd like to provide a refresher on the Legislated Services and Strategic Initiatives, LSI ratio. Over 75% of the city's operating budget is allocated to essential services that we are legislated to provide, such as those governed by the Municipal Act, minimum municipal maintenance standards, and the Occupational Health and Safety Act. The remaining 25% is distributed across our other services and strategic initiatives, which means any legislative changes increase the pressure on our limited funding for other projects. The capital budgets adopted in principle included for 2025, $82.94 million, and for 2026, $83.64 million. On October 23rd, staff will present any changes resulted from emergency repairs, new grant funding, or unforeseen capital needs that arose in 2024 impacting these budgets. For both 2025 and 2026, increases were included for both water and wastewater, volumetric and fixed rates. As with the capital budget, any changes to these rates will be shared on October 23rd. Our goal is to ensure that any adjustments remain aligned with the adopted in principle budgets. The operating budgets were adopted in principle are as follows. 2025 departmental operating expenditures, $127.6 million, and for 2026, departmental operating expenditures of $130.7 million. After accounting for outside boards and commissions, non-tax revenues, and use of the special tax mitigation fund created by council, the net tax levy for 2025 and 20 is $122.9 million and $127.3 million in 2026. If we look at the net tax levy percentage increase for those net tax levy amounts, for 2025, it's 3.69%, and for 2026, it's 3.58%. These increases are within the 3 to 4% annual budget guidance approved by council, and with the mayor's directive under strong mayor power to SLT, we are to ensure that the tax increases remain within these thresholds. While we aim to keep our tax increases within these adopted guidelines, several challenges could exert pressure on the budgets, including legislative changes such as provincial exemptions for affordable housing developments, council initiatives such as the approval of the Fairview Park Community Vision Master Plan and addressing social issues, internal pressures such as competing priorities related to implementing the asset management software DOT and work order software CityWorks, alongside the 2025 legislated asset management deadline and PeopleSoft Phase 2. There are also upcoming council decisions related to the Active Transportation Master Plan and Forestry Division Operations Plan. These items could also introduce additional pressures. So before concluding, I want to remind council and the public of the key dates ahead. Councilors are encouraged to communicate any changes they'd like to see in the mayor's 2025 and 2026 readoption budgets to him before they are published on October 28th. This concludes our presentation on the 2025 and 2026 budget readoption refresh. Thank you for your attention. Mr. Chair, we turn the floor to you for any questions.
Thank you, Director Douglas and Deputy Clerk. Are there any questions from the presenters? No? Seeing none, I would just like to ask perhaps the CAO, are we publicizing this information either on the city's website or in any other way so that the public is aware of it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have we have a meeting with the communications team, and there's going to be a very robust program both on the website, through social media, as well as in print, to get the message out at all our facilities about the budget dates, times, and the various opportunities for the public to engage.
Thank you for that, CAO. And I would suggest, I know we have a new communication director who I know well, if we can also issue some kind of a media release that hopefully will be carried by the local papers, because we still have a lot of seniors out there who depend on the paper to find out what's going on. So, and it's great. Okay, thank you. So, seeing no questions, can I have a mover for the recommendation on the report? Councilor Stevens. Can I have a seconder? Councilor Dodge. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I will look to the clerk or deputy clerk for a recorded vote. Oh, okay. He tells me we can do a show of hands. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, motions, there are none. Are there any notice of motions for the next council budget meeting? Seeing none. Are there any report requests for specific to the readoption budgets that you just heard about? Seeing none. So there is no closed session other than what we did already, so we will move to bylaws. So the motion that the bylaw listed on the council budget agenda be read a first time, consider and passed. The bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its council budget meeting held on the 16th day of September 2024. One reading with respect to confirming the proceedings of the meeting held on September 16, 2024, that it be signed and executed by the chair and the deputy clerk. Can I have a councilor to move that? Councilor Dodge. And can I have someone second the motion? Councilor Stevens. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And can I have a motion to adjourn, that there be no further items of business, this meeting be adjourned? Councilor Stevens, and seconded by Councilor Ratliff. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.